Aloha, I'm Naomi Hazelton, and you can find me at Hazelton_Naomi on Instagram. I'm the founder of Pacific Edge magazine, and we're celebrating 16 years this year. We welcome you to our first P.E.M Talk, standing for Passion, Experience, and Motivation. We all realize the vital importance of pivoting one's in-person networking skills to online networking tools. There are many online networking tools that can enhance your networking skills immensely. And we have three wonderful speakers today. We have Toby Tamaye, president and founder of AT Marketing, John Strandberg, Pacific Digital Signs, and Kasey Baltz with Element Media and an Instagram influencer. Questions will come in at the end of all the presentations. And you can find recordings of this video on Pacific Edge YouTube. Follow us at Pacific Edge on Insta. And before we begin, I'd love to thank my good friend Jim Raymond, the wonderful GM at the Cliffs at Princeville. The Cliffs at Princeville is one of my favorite resorts on the beautiful island of Kauai on the North Shore. And one of my favorite things to do is enjoy the whales breaching, listen to the nene geese, and walk the grounds. Thank you again, Jim and your team for sponsoring. And thank you again, the Cliffs at Princeville. I'd also like to thank Buddy Leong and his team at VSE Productions and Elite Delivery. I would now like to introduce Toby Tamaye.
Oh, sorry, I was just eating my awesome food from Koa Pancake House. I hope you guys got some of it. Look at this. Oh, so yummy. I love Koa Pancake House. It's one of my favorite breakfast places in all of Hawaii. And today I'm going to be talking about webinars and how you can use webinars. So if you could just let me share my screen here and we'll get started for all of you guys today. So let's talk about webinars and Zoom and all the great stuff that is out there. You know, so a lot of us been on the webinar, like how you are right now this morning. And I'm going to tell you guys how you can use webinars for networking and even increasing your business. So there's actually a lot of webinar platforms out there. You know Zoom. If you have school age kids in Hawaii, you know about WebEx and Microsoft Teams very well because that's what most schools are using. GoToMeeting was one of the original, but there's scores and scores of other webinar software out there that people are using. But today I'm going to use Zoom. And why use Zoom? Well, first of all, if people have to go on a phone or an iPad, they actually have to download an application. And most people have already downloaded Zoom. So a lot of times you'll have issues if you have someone say, oh, can you join me on Join Me or Blue Jeans? So they'll have to actually get a new software. So we're going to be talking about Zoom today, but just know that there's so many other great webinar platforms out there. So the main question I get from people is, what is the difference between Zoom meetings and Zoom webinars? And there's a huge difference. And for those of you guys that already know this, I'll just, it's going to be a refresher, but for many of you guys, there's two major differences between how you can use Zoom. One is meetings and one is webinars. Meetings are actually a two-way discussion. It's kind of the things that you do for your office and when you guys do it with your coworkers or do it. And we're going to talk a lot about using meetings for networking in the next couple minutes. There's one login for all the people that attendees. You can see everybody that's joining, and it's great for small groups. You know, right now you're on a webinar, which is basically a one-way discussion. There is a separate login for people like us who are on panelists and you, the audience today. You can only see the panelists. You can't see anybody else that is involved in the webinar. And it's really good for large groups. You can also network using webinars. I'm going to teach you that trick. And actually one of them is ask questions. So put in your questions in that Q&A so we can see your name and you can already start your network. Zoom meetings. Basically, this is the real nutshell of how they work. You have an optional choice for registration. You have a group sharing ability. You have a whiteboard ability where you can have a whiteboard you can write some notes on. Breakout rooms. My favorite thing about Zoom right now are breakout rooms. I'll talk about how that works. You can do reaction emojis. I saw they just added a firecracker and a joy one recently. group one-to-one chat options. There's polling, and you can actually stream to Facebook or YouTube anytime you guys want. So that's a great part of it. For Zoom webinars, again, you guys had the registration today. You have an option for registration. You can customize the branding into your webinar. You can create multiple URLs so you can see where people are coming from. You can have, oh, maybe this is this media or this person's referring. You can get that done. There's a Q&A feature. Again, we have a Q&A feature at this event right now. Go ahead, leave some questions for us. We would love to answer it at the end of our last speaker. You can also connect to PayPal Eventbrite. So if you guys saw at this event, P.E.M Talks, it was actually an Eventbrite site, but it was connected through Zoom. So that's something that just happened recently in the last couple of months. You can post a webinar survey. You can manage what attendees see, like you are seeing my presentations right now, and we can stream directly live to Facebook or YouTube. So how do you network using Zoom meetings? So everybody's been on Zoom meetings. They've been talking about it, but really, have you used it for networking? Here's the cool thing is that geography plays less of a factor. You can get people from Maui, from Big Island, from Japan, from New York, from Europe, and you can get everybody to network. It's so cool now that it allows us to network in a much larger segment. You can activate your social media presence is the most important thing, because a lot of times what's going to happen is that you're going to tell people just follow me on Instagram, or just, you know, you're going to have some way of getting people to actually do what we call the one-on-ones later on. I love the virtual happy hours. You can see my little photo here. It's great to put together a happy hour virtually, or even a coffee, or like what we're doing today with the breakfast, virtual breakfasts where people can talk over things. Think of networking icebreakers, you know, Google it, try to find out some information, talk to friends. That's really a great way of getting involved. Join a lot of organizations. So every organization has different events, and sometimes they're actually built where they can invite guests. So ask others to invite you to their meetings so you can actually start meeting other people there. There's a lot of Zoom meetings, and so utilize Zoom meetings with other event planners or other organizations so you can actually start being part of it. And search the internet for virtual events. There's tons of events out there. I'm going to show you one of the tips here that Zoom is actually doing, where you can search for online events throughout the world. Now, how do you create your own meeting? So I want to create my own meeting, Toby. I want to create a networking meeting. Great. Keep in mind how many people you guys want to attend that event. Okay, that's the main key where what you're doing. You know, right now, this event today is 60 minutes. It's a great 60 to 90 minutes. It's kind of like the bread and butter of Zoom timing. So keep that timing in play. Send calendar invites. So the cool thing with Zoom is that you can send invites out, and it's already locked into all the different iCal and Google calendars, all the things that are out there. So people can already have it in whatever calendar they use. Boom, they type it up and just click on the link, ready to go. Make sure you introduce the participants, just like how Naomi did today. She introduced all the panelists, but introduce the participants that are going to be involved in your meeting. Open up the session early. I just don't like it when people come up like 3-4 minutes late and open up the session. Be on time, respect people's time, even though it's in a virtual world. I love making video required. So some people have, you know, different type of photos or things they want to use, or maybe they just keep, if you can make video required, hey, then that means everybody sees each other. And, you know, maybe they got to get dressed correct and properly and get ready for it, you know. Also, use breakout rooms. I can't tell you, for those of you guys who are on it, breakout rooms is the key to networking. Talking about networking using Zoom meetings, make sure you guys are always on mute. I mean, we've known it. We've been in a lot of meetings where someone was not on mute and they, you know, you're speaking and oh my God, come on, really? You know, lighting is very important. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lights in front of me right now. So make sure you guys look the best. You can even pick up these little small lights right there. Just whatever you guys can do, just try to improve how your lighting works so you can look your best. Hey, prepare an elevator speech. I always say prepare a 30 and a 1-minute speech about exactly who you are. That's how you're going to use Zoom. Zoom and virtual meetings is not about that 1 hour or that 30-minute conversation. It's a 30-second chance for you to get that one-on-one conversation later on. Make sure you include your Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you guys feel comfortable with social media, so people can get in touch with you and follow you in a more like, not really an aggressive way, just follow me on Instagram. And hey, maybe if you want to direct message me one day, we can get in touch and we can learn more about each other. Feel free to chat with each other directly. So I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings I've joined last year, and I'm planning to join this year, where I am just chatting with people individually during the meeting, learning what they're doing, sending them my contact information so I can get that one-on-one meeting with them later on. So I ask for their contact information. What feels comfortable? Do you feel comfortable with phone? Do you feel comfortable with email? Do you feel comfortable with Instagram or Facebook or any other type of WhatsApp messaging? What feels comfortable with you so I can get in touch with you? schedule the one-on-ones really quickly. So it could be a phone, it could be another Zoom, whatever you guys want, just set it up that way. And utilize your background for promotions. As you can see, this is, we were promoting something for the University of Hawaii Shiloh Alumni Association last year. So a lot of us, anytime we had a seminar, we used our background there. Hey, I'm gonna tell you guys a little about Zoom breakout rooms. Oh my goodness. Here we go. So Zoom breakout rooms basically allow you to take a group and put them into breakout rooms. It's very simple to use. You can learn it in just a couple minutes. And here's some of the tips that I have for using breakout rooms. Number one is make sure you have a moderator, someone who knows what's going on. We try to let everybody allow that opening talk to speak, 30 to 1 minute, 30 seconds to a minute to speak. You know, also remind attendees of the time. There's actually a clicker with the time on it, so people will know, but you kind of remind them. Keep the group small, 3 to 8. And here's the fun thing. You can do a lot of fun games in breakout rooms. There's a lot of interaction that you can do. I've seen a lot of things going on there because it's a smaller group where people get more involved. And you can actually sort of, the key is you do a major event, so like 50 people, and you break them out into 5, and you do like 4 rounds. You can do that all in an hour. Amazing stuff that you can do at breakout rooms. So go check it out when you have some time to learn more about Zoom breakout rooms. Hey, let's make Zoom meetings memorable. I mean, that's the main thing, right? So I don't know if you guys know that Ron Mizutani is leaving the Hawaii Food Bank in this month, and I sit on the board of directors for the Alakai Young Leaders, and we had a meeting just 2 days ago, and we set this up. We all said, hey, you know what, everybody, let's just put a note up and take a picture so he can remember all of us. And so we kind of, this has never been in existence before. This is a virtual experience where you can do this kind of things, and it's really, really exciting on this kind of stuff. So this is super cool stuff. Now I'm gonna jump into Zoom webinars. That's what you're on right now. So please ask questions in the Q&A. That is the best way to network with Zoom webinars. It's really the only way you can get your name out there. Make sure you research the speakers so you can ask relevant questions. If it's on Facebook Live, you can actually share the feed. So I share tons of feeds that I see on Facebook Live that are done for Zoom webinars. Promote the webinar ahead of time, and on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. And finally, don't be that person, okay? Don't be that person that asks too many questions, leaves their contact information in the Q&A, asks inappropriate questions, self-promote themselves. Don't be that person, because you can get manually removed from the event. And so you'll see like a screen like, oh, this Zoom call has ended, but all the rest of your friends are on it still yet. So don't be that person, because actually you can manually remove people off your Zoom webinars. How do you create Zoom webinars for networking? Well, show that you're an expert in the subject. So what Naomi has done with this P.E.M talks is she's showing that, hey, I want to be an expert in different type of things. And she's actually brought you guys this morning to show different type of experts to help you guys learn more about different items that might be relevant for 2021. Consider hiring a web backend team. We actually have a web backend team tonight, the VSC, Virtual Student Services. So they're actually here with us in the back, and they're doing it. So again, it takes 2. You gotta have a moderator, you have to have a tech person. Virtual Student Experience is doing all of our backend. So keep that in mind when you're looking at it. It's not it's going to be a growing business. So if you guys know anybody that can do tech backing of Zoom, become their friend. Hey, add value to your clients and customers. That's a really great use of webinars. You can create a new stream of revenue. I'll teach you guys a little bit about how Zoom is going to make it easier for you guys to do that. You can network with executives, owners, and C-suites. I'm going to show you exactly what I did to do that. Ask speakers to log in early. Record the video, share it on YouTube, online, wherever you guys want, and practice, 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 practice. That's the best way to get involved with your Zoom webinars. Now, I talked about how do you network with C-suite? How do you network with executives? I created a series from September to November last year called the Hawaii Reopening Consortium webinar through the University of Hawaii system. What we've done is that we've actually aligned ourselves with a variety of speakers throughout the world, mostly Oahu, but really around the world, and definitely around the islands, where we had people all over talking about how tourism is going to reopen. And this is very relevant when tourism just opened up. And I was able to get 80% of these bookings through myself, right? And so another 20%, I had some help with other people on my association. But so I was able to network with general managers and airline executives and the hospitality sector. And so this allowed me to create something. So if you really want to create something, create a series where it makes sense for people to speak. Because I tell you right now, it's 400 to 500% easier to get a speaker now in a virtual setting than to get them in live person. So think about that when you're actually looking at how do I network with people really, really high up in my industry. This might be the series for you. This might be the way for you to do it using Zoom webinars. Something new that came out with Zoom is called On Zoom. So On Zoom is a new thing. You still see it's on beta. It's a very new program, but everybody's using it who are really Zoom fanatics. And I did something with the Hawaii Food Bank in November where I actually did a You Can Cook 2 series where we had canned goods and we had a celebrity chef, we had Roy doing it. And we raised hundreds of dollars to do this. People had to pay to join in. It was super easy. And this is something now that Zoom is doing for you guys to make it easier for whatever organization you guys want to fundraise for. Finally, host a networking on Zoom. So Zoom actually is now like the Eventbrite and all that. They actually have a site where you can find different events. Some are paid, some are free that you can actually network on Zoom. So that's kind of my thing. Leave a Q&A if you guys want. I'll answer it at the end of this. But remember, how you dress is how you look like in your Zoom. Sometimes you only see from the top up. Follow me on Instagram, 18 Marketing. And next up is John Strandberg. He's going to talk about Facebook, my favorite thing. See you guys.
Thanks, Toby. Your energy this morning is catchy. Usually in the morning, everyone's kind of slow to wake up, and I think that breakfast from Koa Pancake House really woke you up. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start the presentation off pretty quickly here, but people are going to ask, who is John Strandberg? Everyone kind of knows Toby as the multimedia king, social media king of Hawaii, but you know what? John is his follower. We've been friends for more years than I can count, but this is me. This is what I do. Right now, I'm the Hawaii Region Manager for Pacific Digital Signs, and I've been in networking for years now. I call it pretty successful being out there in the networking world. And like everybody here, we've had to pivot into virtual networking with the advent of the pandemic. So let's try to do something a little bit different, but still kind of what you've been doing. We're just going to change up how we do things. So I'm going to slide right in. So this presentation started off as just using Facebook, but I've kind of morphed it into just general social media skills as a whole. So the real goal of networking is really connecting with like-minded people like yourself, or maybe not. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But let's look at networking as a goal, because what you're really there for is to find that next sale, to find that next job, or to find someone to partner with in a new venture you're going to create. So work with the people you have, work with people in your network, and it will continue to grow. So move on from there. So before we start, you want to check out your online identity. Consider how people perceive you. If I looked at your social media profile today, am I seeing you from your college days of drinking and debauchery, or someone now who's a professional in their industry? Take a good look at that, because what you see online is how people perceive you as. So it's time to clean up a lot of things, because now people have more time at home. They're looking at your Facebook profile, look at your LinkedIn, your Instagram. If you're on, other platforms, check those out to make sure you're covered, because your brand is personal to you. So create that personal brand and protect it. Audit your network. This is a time to really look at the people that are currently in your network. Look at your LinkedIn profile, look at Facebook. Who haven't you spoken with in a long time? Activate those dormant connections. Just to give an example, I haven't spoke to this person in, I'd say 2 or 3 years. I looked at her LinkedIn just the other day and found, oh, she's now the director of HR for a company that I've been trying to get into. Well, guess what? She got a phone call and a text message from me just because I discovered that I activated that dormant connection. So this is what you really want to do. Look at what you have before you start finding new people. Identify who's missing your network. So if you're looking through things and saying, hey, I only have people in my profession in my connections network. So who do I need to know outside? That's when you want to start making a list. Do I work only with electricians and only have electricians in my network? Do I need to talk to plumbers or general contractors or architects? So we need to see where you need to go and find where you need to go find it at. Okay, when you connect with someone, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's make it personal. Don't be afraid to reach out. Ask them questions. Be a little more personal in the questions, like how are they doing during the pandemic? What's crazy is during the first month of the lockdown, I was shocked at the amount of phone calls I got asking, hey, John, are you okay? I just want to make sure, because, You and people like yourself and Toby are always out at an event doing something. How are you getting on? Is it, you're okay? And I really thought about that. I'm like, you know what? These people actually cared enough to call, because I'm the type of guy you're going to find at a networking event or a luncheon or a fundraiser, and they realize this is not how I operate in a introverted world as we turn into. So it's great that they did reach out, but when you do reach out, you want to show that little bit of empathy and then create that personal connection, because the personal connection will help you build your brand and it'll help you build your business, which I think ultimately everybody on this call wants, is to grow and build their business. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, get comfortable with technology. So Toby started off with Zoom. Like he said, there's so many other platforms out there. There's Teams, which I do personally like as well. There's Google Hangouts, if you got to throw in a Google in there, just because it's the big three, as I call it. So get used to the technology. Toby talked about using a technician in the background to work with. That's great, but sometimes, you know, you're a small budget, you need to learn how to use it yourself. And great example is during this webinar training. We had people ask, oh, how do I do this? And this is the speakers and some people in the background. So it's a great time to practice, find someone you're comfortable with and practice with that person to get comfortable before you go out there to do a Zoom meeting or to sponsor your own webinar. Just remember, you're going to make mistakes and get used to it, and over time and practice, practice, and practice. So one of the things about networking is realizing that you have something to offer. Everybody listening to this webinar today, whether they're at home or working from their office like I am, like my background, that's my office. I'm kidding. But you do have something to offer. Your value is in yourself. You need to be confident in the skills and knowledge that you have to reach out there and to hold that two-way conversation that creates a networking atmosphere. So remember, you are in your job because of who you are, what you know, and your skill set. So you have something to offer somebody. I love this. It's talking to strangers. This is what networking is really about. I used to do a lot of coaching and in-person networking. And the first thing I noticed is groups of people gathering around the people they already know. And then it's like, is that really networking, or are you just getting to know someone that you met before? Talk to strangers, get out there in the Zoom meetings. Hold those chats that Toby talked about on the side. Get to know someone personally a little bit on the chat program, get their contact information, and then move on. So talk to strangers. You never know who you're going to meet. We talked earlier about if you're an engineer or electrician, you need to meet other people outside your industry. This is the time to go, hey, this guy's a chef. I want to talk to him about what's like to cook in a kitchen, a commercial kitchen. So get out there, find a stranger and talk to them. Because you know what? Everyone's doing it virtually now through Zoom, and it's safer. It feels more comfortable because we're not there in person. So take that chance. If you struggle, it's okay. Keep practicing. Introverts, this is your time. Grow with it and make things happen for yourself. Ask help and receive help. So this is a great example of using Facebook or LinkedIn, asking for referrals. When someone posts, I'm looking for an accountant. This happened to us, well, to me anyways, this week with a close friend of ours. And she was actually saying, I need an accountant. Can I get someone to help me with an accounting referral? And the amount of people that were referred was immense. What I do like is a lot of the names were not familiar to me and to her. So from a networking perspective, look at that list and decide, hey, is this person someone I need to know? If so, I should contact them as well. So ask for help. You will receive help. Don't be afraid to help others as well, because that's just as important as not. Looks like I'm having a little difficulty here. 1 second. Okay. Can everybody see my screen again?
Yeah, I can see it, John.
Good, thank you. Sorry. Something happened on one of my screens. Okay, ask and receive help. Let's move on from there. Be generous. One of the great things about being on Facebook, about being on LinkedIn, is you get to share information. Share information about your business, share information about your industry, whatever it is, share. If you have a contact you're trying to get in front of, and you know a little bit about their industry, and you come across a great article on LinkedIn or anywhere, quick copy and paste it into a message, post it on your page, or send it directly to them and with a little note. Hey, I was just thinking about you and your company when I read this article. It's a great opportunity to say, hey, this person actually spent a little bit of time thinking about me and my business. It's going to help them connect again and create that personal conversation. So use the internet. That's what it's there for. It's not just about cats playing on pianos, but find articles and share them with the person, because you never know what can happen from that connection there. People will remember that when it comes time to do some business. Again, you got to use technology. You set up some virtual coffee meetings. I talked about this before with some other friends, and I created a sip and talk sessions earlier in the pandemic where we had virtual coffees. And when things opened up, we actually sat across from each other in the lobby of a hotel that just reopened to have coffee in person. But get in front of someone, because the most important handheld device in the networking world is a cup of coffee. I use it all the time to meet with people. My boss is probably on this call later. I used to spend a lot of time at Starbucks because that's where a lot of business happens. And yes, even though I'm not in the office, I am still working. So don't hold that against me. Consistency. One of the things we forget about during a pandemic is, oh my God, I'm working from home. What do I do? How do I continue to do this? It's not too late to restart. Once you start networking, you're attending events, you're attending functions online, it's consistency that pays off. You need to be always texting someone, reaching out. You want to make all the connections you can and make it consistent. It's not regarding how many people I know, but how many people I know that I stay in contact with. Eventually, that's going to pay off for you, whether you're looking for a job, doing collaboration work, or if it's for a sale. Because guess what? When I forget about you, I forget about you until you remind me to remind myself that I know you. So please stay consistent, reach out, stay on point, stay on brand, and use every tool in your toolbox to find that job, that sale, or that partner to collaborate with. And with that, I'm going to turn this portion of the session over to my friend Kasey Baltz, who will talk to you about Instagram and Instagram marketing.
Hello. I loved your talk, John. I feel a sense of community already, just having you guys here and learning together. So my portion of the talk is going to be all about Instagram networking and how to grow on Instagram. So a little bit about me. My name is Kasey Baltz, and I have an online brand that I created 1 year ago, and it's called Compass Traveler. I have learned over many years of practice and research how to create an online brand and engage in business online. I now make a stream of passive income online and have hired an assistant. I have a successful business with over 11.6K loyal audience members and sell online products. All right, so I want you guys to take out a notebook and write down this information so you do not forget, because I'm going to be just spitting a bunch of information at you that is super important to remember later on. All right, so the context that we're going to go over is Instagram networking, tricks, networking post methods, networking with Facebook and Instagram ads, alt text and SEO, networking hashtags, networking on DMs, and networking with Facebook groups and engagement groups. All right, so first, networking, Instagram tricks. So first thing you want to do is follow a popular and inspirational page, brand, person, influencer that you look up to, that you want to be. So it's got to be related to your business. And then you're going to go into their followers or their most loyal commenters on their popular photos. And you're going to like, DM, comment on these people's posts to spread the awareness of your business to an audience that already likes your brand pillars. All right, post methods. So network posting. You only want to post one content that will build your audience and brings more audience to you. You need to be providing value and attracting clients. 2, content to build your brand. So those are going to be your brand themes. And 3, content to sell a product, selling your products. So 80% of your posts should be lifestyle/value content, building your brand and audience, and 20% should be selling. So for example, I have Sugar Bear Hair, a very popular gummy brand up here. They do a lot of lifestyle. So you see like a picture of an influencer and pops, but then they also do some selling and product photography. So 2021 posting tools. Today, shares and saves are more valuable than likes and comments. Yes, it's changing. So shares happen when someone gets value from your post and wants to share it on their story with their followers. So for example, it can be quotes, it can be ideas and inspiration. A save is on the right side, and it's when they find your post valuable, so they save it to look back on it later. So this can be something like a travel guide, like I do, or things they need to remember in the future. All right, post consistently always. So post every day on your story. Stories are important. And then post on your feed at least once a week. Also, hosting lives. Lives are very important today because it highlights your page to your followers and you get to interact with them on a very personal level. Also, create evergreen content. So evergreen content is content that can last forever and reach people forever. So you're going to figure out your brand themes and a story highlight. So if you see the picture to the right, these are the story highlights on my page. It's going to be my brand pillars. It's going to be my themes of my brand. So these highlights will last forever, and people, as soon as they show up on your page, will see those highlighted stories right away. So network engagement is super important. So give shout outs to audience members. With stories, lives, and IGTVs, you want to answer audience members' questions, and you want to ask them what they need and want from you. You are providing them value. They're very important to you. So you also want to reply to every comment, every single comment that someone has on your photos. You want to reply, show that you care. Also, paying influencers to promote your business and products. Affiliate marketing is very successful. So to the photo on the right, it's going to be Kylie Jenner. I'm sure you know Kylie Jenner, or the Kardashians. And they are they're sponsoring the Sugar Bear hair products. So this is a way that, she'll bring thousands and thousands of clients to pay for this product because people know her so well. All right, so network posting methods. So this is important. Repost photos on Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and use all your social medias to spread your content. You can also recycle content. Content recycling is totally okay. So for example, if you have a podcast and you're recording the podcast, as well as you have the voice, but then you can also record it with video, and then you can take a little short snippet video for a reel. You can post it on YouTube, you can post it on your podcast, and you can post it on Instagram. So you want to spread that brand awareness to all of these social media platforms. All right, ads. Ads are super important now. Ads with just a couple clicks of a button and like as little as $5, you can get thousands of people to your page. So make your Instagram a business page and create and connect it with a business page on Facebook. So once connected, go to the Facebook Ads Center or Ads Manager to create your own ads, or you can also promote your post via straight from the Instagram app, the promote button on the right of your photos, once you put your card information in. All right, the best ad creation. So one, get as detailed as possible about the client and audience member you want to attract. Specify the location you want to attract. The best ads are around 4 to 6 days for $30 to $40. So a story ad you can do, which is best with videos, an Instagram feed ad you can do is best with engagement, or a Facebook ad which has best click rate. So on the right, you can see examples of the ad management. All right, alt text and SEO. So a lot of people don't know this, but with Instagram, at the bottom of every photo, there's going to be advanced settings. When you click on advanced settings, you can put SEO and keywords, specific search words in that option. And then the photos will come up with those keywords, and it's easier for people to find these photos. And the algorithm will bring your photos to these specific areas that have the keywords too. How to find keywords? So SEO, search engine optimization. I suggest you using ubersuggest.com because this is the best website I've found to look up SEO related words to your business. So the less people, the better the word will be. So the less people, the less competition, and the more people will see you under that word. So use keywords in your posts, alt text, and hashtags. All right, hashtags. I'm sure you all know about hashtags, but here is the underlying truth about hashtags. So network hashtagging. Find hashtags that are related to your photo topic, but smaller and more niche. The less people that are using that hashtag, the better it is for people to see you. You can also now look up hashtag communities on the search bar. And so, for example, this photo on the right is Hawaii entrepreneur community. So you see all these people that are using these hashtags that are Hawaii entrepreneurs. So you're going to want to like, follow, and comment on these pages and accounts because then you'll get more attention to your page, and you're a Hawaii entrepreneur, so you want to collaborate with other Hawaii entrepreneurs. So DMs, networking with DMs. You should personalize your DMs as much as possible. So personalize your DMs with voice memos. There's a mic button on the bottom right screen, and so you can actually talk into it and it's almost like a phone conversation. If you can reach out to everyone in your audience and send them a personalized message about how you want to help them or care about them or want to build a relationship, that will have you build more of a relationship and trust with your audience members. And this is super important because if you give free support and value in order to build trust to your audience members on social media, they will trust you more to want to reach out to you, engage with you, and buy online from you. All right, lastly, Facebook communities to join. So Facebook communities and engagement groups are another way to kind of spread and share your platform and your brand and business online. So engagement groups can be on Telegram, WhatsApp, or you can create your own engagement group. It's going to help you promote others and small businesses and your brands. So we have created one for P.E.M Talks, and it's going to be called P.E.M Talks Facebook group. So when you go on Facebook, just look up P.E.M Talk, and you'll find that networking group. It's a private, exclusive networking group for people that have small businesses and want to collaborate with other people who have small businesses and network online in these times of COVID-19. Also, these are some other Facebook groups that I've joined personally that have increased my following, increased engagement, and everything in between. Business owners, marketers, women entrepreneur network, laptop lifestyle entrepreneur, women biz owners, and then also I've created my own Instagram connection Facebook group, and it's called Instagram Connections with Compass Traveler, where I have about 500 members on there where we share our businesses and brands with each other and support each other. So definitely do that. And if you want more tips and tricks from me, follow Compass Traveler on Instagram. and reach out to me. I'd love to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, Kasey, and thank you, Toby, and again, thank you, John. I really, really love that. I gained so much information from it personally. I want to go right into the Q&A, and Toby, actually, I want to start with you. Just bear with me one moment as I look through the questions here. Toby, what are the costs involved with Zoom meetings and webinars?
That's a great question, Naomi. I'm sorry I wasn't able to address it in my presentation today, but there's actually a free offering for people who want to just create a Zoom meeting. There's some limitations, like you can only do up to 40 minutes, and there's a amount that you can do per month. But after that, there is a cost involved, and there's actually a cost for webinars and a cost for Zoom meetings. And so the lower price of the Zoom meeting starts at about $14.95 a month. That allows you to get, up to 100 attendees. You pretty much have a good amount of time that you can use, and you can also record it to the cloud and use those kind of implements. And there's a lot of other things that you can do. So $15 is typically the lowest price. For those of you guys who want to have maybe 300 people or more, up to 300 in your event, then you go up to a $20 per fee. Now that's just Zoom meetings, and that's per month. So I mean, I can understand that there is quite a high price on that. But when we're looking at webinars, it's actually much higher than that. And so the lowest price for a webinar per month is about $50 a monthly fee. And you can, good thing about Zoom is you can add in and you can cancel when you need it. But a lot of people, because they're trying to do Zoom webinars every month or more often, they subscribe to use the $40 one. But that doesn't allow you a lot of people, with 100. Things like that, things like we've been doing for all of our events requires up to 1,000 people, or maybe even 3,000. And then the prices get incredibly expensive, in the hundreds per month. So just keep that in mind that, while this is great technology and allows people to connect, there is a big fee that is involved with it, and you're using the technology. You're saving a lot in terms of like not having to pay for hotel banquet spaces or those kind of things. So keep that in mind, the offset of what you're trying to do. But I want to be clear that, especially creating Zoom webinars, there is not a free way in. But for Zoom meetings, you can. But again, there's 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's just not a lot of time to get things done. But just keeping that in mind, and you can go back to Zoom, and they have all the listing of their fees on there. So get that information before you actually start signing on.
Thank you, Toby. And I have one other question for you. I've been hearing a lot about hybrid and in-person events, and I've seen some here in Hawaii. How does that really work? And do you have any upcoming events that you might want to share with our audience today?
So when the pandemic hit back in March, a lot of us were adjusting to Zoom, and I was one of the first companies that created a Zoom webinar broadcast for nonprofits, and that was like in July and August. And so it took us months to be able to get to that point, before everybody was just canceling everything, right? And then we've seen a lot of events kind of evolving over the fall and a little bit more in winter. And so now we're here in 2021. And so what we're advising people right now is to look at how you did events before, but do a hybrid event. So one of the ideas that we're doing right now is for the University of Hawaii College Alumni Association with the business school there, is we've had an event called Executive Vineyards, and it was done at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel every year. And it's actually the last major event before the whole pandemic shutdown happened back in March last year. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a hybrid event where we actually have a broadcast being done at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel at the same time. And that's kind of where, and then we broadcast it out virtually to our Zoom attendees. And so what I want people to understand that now is that now we're looking at the hybrids. The hybrids are actually, number one is you want people to feel comfortable with your event, but also start selling for 2022 and get people to understand that, we're not giving up on this system. We're not going to move only into virtual, because the virtual space is great, but you just can't fundraise as much as you want for the virtual space. And so what we're going to do now is there's going to be a start of this initial hybrid where people can go to events and create an event and structure it out through Zoom or whatever webinar system they want. And then there's actually going to be where there's people going to be seated now. And that's probably going to be in the summer where, you know, you're going to have like about 100 people at your event, but you're going to be broadcasting to 400 to 1,000 people on Zoom. And then we get to the fall, maybe we have 150 people. So the hybrid event is going to be the key component now for 2021, especially for the fundraising realm, because maybe if someone is like a higher fundraiser, say like a $5,000, $10,000 sponsor, they would actually be able to go to the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, have the table seating, have that experience, because we still can't forget that we only can do probably 100 people at the most. Right now we can only do 5 and we got it, but maybe later on things are going to be moving better once the vaccine gets a little bit more in place. And we're confident by the summer we'll be allowed a little bit larger group spacing, and so that's kind of what the new generation's doing. We're trying to take what we did in 2019, putting it into 2021. But also the cool thing is now we can go globally, right? We can. So what we're doing with this UH event is that we used to have 600 to 800 people attending at the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the hybrid event, just a few people there, but we're going to broadcast this worldwide to Tokyo, to our alumni in Vietnam, to our alumni in Seattle and Vegas. And they're going to be able to do it. And this is something that's going to be on forever. And we're excited about that. We're excited about having events now that are taking place in Hawaii that we can broadcast through webinars for years to come. So this is exciting. This is an exciting time, 2021. If you have an event that you want to do, think about the hybrids and see how that's going to work for you.
Thank you. That is exciting. I'm excited. I have a question, I believe, possibly for John. It has to do with LinkedIn and also some other social media algorithms. John, any personal hacks on how to master LinkedIn or social media algorithms to maximize engagement?
It's the same old tried and true hacks as if you're at an event or somewhere, just tag the people that are there with you because you grow your network, you attach their network to you. On LinkedIn, it's a matter of going through and looking at everything that gets posted, liking, making comments. Comments is key. It's not just liking anymore. It's making a comment on someone's post and then posting your own content. The old adage has always been true. Content is king. As long as you're providing some form of content, you're providing value to somebody, they're going to like and comment and then create your own. You'll just draw more attention to yourself, which is what you really want on these platforms.
So John, I have a question for you personally. So I really relate more to LinkedIn, and it could be certainly based on my age and just where I am in business.
And I'm older,
I know,
so stop it.
And others certainly relate to Instagram, Facebook. So for you personally, and any advice on DMing on LinkedIn versus DMing on Instagram? I don't know if you do it the same way or if you do it differently.
You do it a little differently. If I want to get to know somebody outside of their work, you definitely bring it into the personal side. How are you getting on in the pandemic? But a lot of times I see so many bad examples. Someone wants to connect, and I'm an open networker on LinkedIn. I'll connect with you regardless. But as soon as I hit connect and I get an email direct message from you, hey, I'm in financial planning and I want to be able to talk to you about I'm like, if you read my profile, you kind of know where I'm at in my career, in my life. If I don't have those things in place, then maybe I should be where I'm at in life. So don't try to sell somebody as soon as you get in connect with them, because that's like the biggest faux pas, the biggest no-no. And I kind of move you off to the side and never respond to you again.
Yeah, I agree. You could almost form a relationship and then possibly have coffee if they're open to that one-on-one later, or meet in person at a later date. So that's really good advice.
Yeah. So actually, one of the greatest examples I got on the LinkedIn Connect was somebody with my last name. I looked it up. I think I'm one of the only Strandbergs in Hawaii. And they connected and says, you know what? I'm thinking about moving to Hawaii. You're the only Strandberg I could find. Can you tell me more? And it opened up a lot. And I realized, yeah, I could use another Strandberg here besides myself.
That's awesome. And you never know where that will lead to.
Exactly.
Thank you, John. All right, Kasey, I'm going to ask you a few questions. So here's one of them. How many engagement groups can one be a part of on Instagram? Is it multiple? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, so engagement groups are groups of entrepreneurs that support each other. And So it used to be that you can be part of as many engagement groups as you want on Instagram. And that's how a lot of people actually grew their Instagram before the pandemic. A lot of people used engagement groups. But recently, since so many people have been shifting their businesses online and on Instagram, Instagram's actually only allowed you to have 3 engagement groups now on the actual Instagram app. So people are actually getting off of the Instagram app and creating engagement groups on WhatsApp and on Telegram and on Facebook because it's off the app, and it's a good way to still be engaging and still help each other out without Instagram having any restrictions on you.
And for those that aren't familiar, what is the real true difference between lives and IGTV?
Mm-hmm. So IGTV is something that is permanent and will last forever and can be searched, and it's almost like a YouTube video that is put out on the app and the platform, and anyone can see it for a long time. Lives is going to be in person, and it's going to be more hands-on, very in the moment, and you actually can save your live and make it an IGTV if you want, or you can just end it and it would be gone forever. So only the people who are in it get to see it.
And for all 3 of you, and you can all chime in certainly, but how important are the use of hashtags for not only your business, but you personally? And whoever wants to start, please go ahead.
Yeah, hashtags are very important. But there's even more that people don't know about is alt text, the things I was talking about, the behind the scenes kind of keywords that you can put in the photos. The SEO is super important. Ads now are super important. So it's not just hashtags, you kind of have to do all of it, but hashtags definitely help out. And hashtags a great way to find communities that are trying to do the same thing and kind of engage in communities just like you.
To chime in on that, hashtags, I just recently taught a small group of people who are my age how to search hashtags, and I do find them important because that's how you be able to search on different things. Not everyone's on these platforms to sell anything or to push an entrepreneur spirit, but they're there to research. Hey, I'm looking for the best, corned beef hash and eggs. You want to search for corned beef hash and eggs and a hashtag, see what comes up. So just going through the hashtags, putting something that's relevant, makes it searchable, and then they'll find you based upon organic searches.
I'm always curious why, and I don't understand it fully, but why is using a hashtag with fewer people that are following that hashtag more important than a hashtag that has 2.9 million people? What's the purpose of that?
Yeah, it's super important because with anything, if you want to start a company, if you want to start any kind of brand or business, you want to have a niche audience, because the more niche you get, the more successful you really are. And the more you're kind of watered down and in a larger audience, there's so much competition and so many other people doing it that you really just kind of get pushed under. So hashtags and keywords that are very specific to exactly what you want. So for example, I will do like travel guides has thousands of people, millions of people looking at. But if I say travel guides Oahu, or travel guides shark diving, very specific in what I'm saying, there's going to be a lot less, but people are still going to be looking at that. But I'm going to be the first person to show up for them and the expert in that. Before anyone else. So it's super important to kind of niche down your audience always and be very specific with it.
Toby, I have a question for you. So I read somewhere, I believe it was somewhere, possibly the newspaper, that Hawaii uses Facebook more than any other platform. Have you heard that? And do you see Hawaii continuing to go down that Facebook road or changing into more of a LinkedIn or Instagram platform?
Thanks for the question, Naomi. I think that was from 3 years ago. Instagram is now the most used platform here in Hawaii. The the reason why social media works so well in Hawaii is because we have it all. We have the great food, we have the great views, we have things that are really social media friendly here. If I lived in, say, like Kansas or something, I wouldn't have that much content, right? Everybody can post, meat and dirt. I mean, so I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on in Kansas, but I mean, here in Hawaii, we have so much content that we can share. We have so many different things that we can do here that will be able to really engage with different audiences. And so that's why I think the power of, Facebook and Instagram are great. When people are talking about those two mediums, I call those age groups. So Instagram is more like, say, like 16 to 45. And Facebook is more like, it's actually now probably mid 30s to grandpas and grandmas and maybe 70s and 80s. You're going to find that a lot of young adults that are in their 20s are not using Facebook at all. And they're using mainly Instagram and TikTok. And so just keep that in mind. Like, Facebook is still popular, but if you're trying to reach a younger audience, you're not going to reach it through Facebook. You have to go on Instagram, and really you got to go on TikTok. TikTok is very, very relevant today. And I know we didn't share a lot of it, but it's not a fad. It's not like Snapchat, those kind of fads that grew. TikTok is relevant, and it's not relevant just here in Oahu, or it's relevant around. And just keep that in mind when you're looking at your promotions. Unfortunately, TikTok is not the most business friendly. Like Instagram and Facebook are very business friendly platforms. TikTok is not at all. You have to work with people. You have to work with accounts. That's the biggest challenge that we're having today using TikTok. But TikTok is the audience for 14 to 25. You want that audience, you got to get on TikTok. So, but Instagram by far is now the number one platform here in Oahu. And if you're not using it aggressively, not posting every day, you have to start doing it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I watched something on the news where there's this gentleman, I don't know him, that became a TikTok sensation, and he was riding his skateboard by drinking cranberry juice, listening to a Fleetwood Mac song, and he got invited to the inauguration. And I thought, boy, times have really changed. And it's just fascinating to me to see how people can go viral so quickly, which kind of brings me into Reels. We just have about 2 more minutes. And so if anyone wants to talk about Reels, my understanding is it can take you virtual, or it could in the past. Would love to just kind of send off on Reels before we close.
I love to start with Reels. Reels is the game breaker. It's the game changer. It started just in August. You guys are not missing the boat. It's very new. It's a TikTok crossover into Instagram. So most people who are kind of like maybe in their 30s and 40s and 50s are not going to get on TikTok, and we never expect them to get on TikTok. But they're going to use Instagram Reels. And so now you can reach a huge audience from the TikTok audience, from the Instagram audience, and Instagram Reels is business friendly. You can create Instagram Reels on your business account. You can't just use music. That's the only problem. But we can teach you those tricks one day to use original audio. But it's really cool. And Instagram Reels is not like stories disappears in 24 hours. Instagram Reels is permanent. It's permanent part of your identity. And I tell you right now, that is the game changer. That is bigger. Like, first came Twitter, then came Facebook, then came Instagram, and then came Instagram stories, and now Instagram Reels. That's how important it is. So look into it, people.
I think too, if you're a hotel, certainly in Hawaii, let's just take the cliffs at Princeville, for example, you can have so many amazing reels, whether it's of the wildlife, whether it's of the whales jumping, whether it's of your property, whether it's someone swinging in the hammock. I mean, sky's the limit on your imagination, right? So you can have video content, and then you have beautiful photos. And I think that that's the really great thing that you did bring up about being in Hawaii, is that we have this canvas of beauty to really help us grow both personally, our social media channels, and our business channels. So you bring up a great point.
Yeah.
And it's the vistas, and it's really important to get a great photographer. That's what's happening now with Instagram and Facebook, is professional photography and influencers taking photos weeks in advance to post in the future, which is, again, fascinating.
I just want to add one more thing, Naomi. So according to my research, 90% of the people that look at your posts are following you. 70% of people that look at your reels are not following you. Think about that.
That's a really good point. It's almost like we should do a whole seminar on reels and Facebook groups. All right, are there any further questions from the audience here before we close out? Let's see. Yes, you will be able to view this presentation on our Pacific Edge YouTube channel for sure. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. We will have another P.E.M talk shortly. I want to thank John. I want to thank Toby and Kasey. I want to thank Ari and again, the Cliffs at Princeville. Have a wonderful day and much aloha and happy networking.